Alright, guys, so a little while ago, I talked about how there was going to be a trilogy of this. Well, the trilogy finally comes to an end with this third and final Randy Cunningham The Shadow crossover series. Yep, like I said, the big thing with this was that it was basically a trilogy. I wanted this to be a trilogy if it was popular enough. Well, I decided it was high time to finish the trilogy. Now, let's get started. So if you guys remember, not too long ago, at the end of the second story, I talked about how, in that one, Hannibal McFist and Siwan Khan had managed to get into Shangri-La and had stolen a lot from it. And by the end of it, Randy was so beaten down by Khan because he was so outclassed. He who was teaming up with the Shadow basically said, you know, the only way you can beat Khan is if you train with me. So Randy leaves with Cranston in order to train, get training from the Shadow. So he leaves Norrisville in order to learn how to train from the Shadow. So that's where we are now, where Randy is now training under Cranston, in forms of like advanced combat. He's teaching him how to use the power of the mind. He's also teaching him like how to properly use the shadows. And he's like, the Nomicon told me that. And he's like, the book is only going to teach you so much. So, Randy in one case is like, you know, it's actually kind of nice to have a physical master. It's actually nice to have a physical master who will straight up tell me when I'm doing something wrong. Like, he actually, like, on one hand is like, this is kind of cool. Like, it's actually kind of gratifying to have a sensei who is actually there and will tell me straight up instead of giving me riddles. So while he's still like not okay with like the Shadow's tactics and whatnot, he's actually like appreciative that he actually has like a master who will like actually fucking listen, like actually tell him what he's doing good and what he's not doing good at. But however, he does draw the line with Cranston a few times, where like Cranston wants to teach him how to shoot a gun, and he's like, I don't use guns, and he's like, you're gonna have to if you're gonna fight Khan, and he's like, I'm not doing that, and he's like, you're questioning your master, and he's like, yeah, I'm questioning the crazy guy who I'm forced to work with because his crazy ass enemy showed up in my city, so yeah, that's who I'm questioning. So Randy draws the line at using a gun, but the Shadow is like, the only way you're going to train with me is if you learn all from me. So you're doing this. So Randy's forced to use guns and train how to use firearms, but he really hates it because he says, like, you know, I've got all these other weapons at my disposal. And he's like, and what happens when those weapons fail? A warrior needs to, like, the Shadow tells him, like, a warrior needs to learn how to use all weapons, not just a select few. And he's like, yeah, that'll never happen. So meanwhile, back with McFist and Siwan, Siwan has basically been like, yeah, I finally now know how to get the power of Shangri-La. Its power is mine, and I'm gonna more or less use it to rule the world. And McFist goes, don't you mean will rule the world? And he goes, I'm sorry, did you think this was going to be, like, Khan is like straight up tells him, did you really think this is how it was going to end? Did you, like, really, like, think for 1 second that this was how it was going to go down, that you were going to be at my side? No. So, Khan turns on him, and, of course, and Khan has now the power for himself and forces McFist and Viceroy to be subservient rather than, you know, allied with him. Meanwhile, so it starts with Khan now having, like, one of the weapons he uses is, like, making the machines that McFist and Viceroy are forced to now build for him into, like, more hideous monsters that he can use to terrorize Norrisville. And for a while, Norrisville falls under Khan's control. It's the stepping stone for his, you know, big global control of the world. And now he's gearing up for an even bigger invasion of that. Now that he has like war machines and supernatural power at his command. However, Khan is for right now, he's busy with taking over Norrisville first, and he's like, I'm going to destroy the legacy of the ninja, and then I'm going to destroy the legacy of the shadow by burning New York to the ground. So he starts with Norrisville, and of course there's people rising up against him. Everyone thinks the ninja's gone. Like, they think and even Khan says, the ninja, I killed the ninja, and you will bow to your Khan. So Howard's like, oh my god, my best friend's dead. Teresa's like, where's the ninja? Everyone is like, now having to like fight for themselves. The ninja is gone, and Randy's like, we gotta go back. Like, if your villain is terrorizing my city, we have to go back and fight him. And the Shadow's like, you're not ready yet. You know, we'll fight him, and when we do, we will end him. So Randy forces it. Like, Randy says, I'm going back to take on Khan. He's like, yes, because that works. And the Shadow's like, yes, because that works so well for you. Remember, your grandfather indebted your life to me, so don't forget that. And he's like, fuck your debts, fuck you, and fuck everything about you. I am going back to my city and taking it back from Khan. If you want to go with me, be my guest. So Randy leaves, and the Shadow goes with. The Shadow is like, fine, I'll go with you. So the Shadow So the Shadow and the ninja return to Norrisville and see all the monstrosities that Khan has been building and like constructing under his dark guidance. And from there, Randy and the Shadow fight their way through all these monsters and all of that. And among that, like, Randy's showing himself to the people of Norrisville, and the Shadow's like, no, you have to keep to the shadows. And he's like, that's the difference between you and me. You hide in the shadow. You run to the shadows to hide. I come out of them to show everyone. I run to the I hide in the shadows, but I come into the light. So the Randy shows, like, the ninja reveals himself to the people who've been under Khan's boot, and the Shadow's like, He's watching like their reaction to all of that, because the Shadow is so used to like people living in fear of him as much as he protects them, but as he sees them, he's like, you know, he kind of has that moment of, yeah, this kid he wanted Randy to be his protege for so long. Like, he was so tired of being the Shadow. Deep down, he wanted Randy to take on the legacy of the Shadow, because he was so tired of this eternal life and this pain, this constant being the Shadow. But now he sees, like, Randy isn't the guy. Like, Randy's not the guy who can be the Shadow. So from there, they fight their way to Khan, and Khan is like, the Shadow and the ninja. Come to finally die, and they're like, no, we're here to fucking end you. So the fight so Khan takes on both of them, and with the power he's gotten from Shangri-La, yes, I know it has, like, different names, but throughout the comics and whatnot, they've called it Shangri-La, so there's that. So I'm kind of going with that one. So the fight continues, and it just is a brutal, bloody fight between them until Khan is beating down the Shadow, and his guns are gone, and Randy sees one of the Shadow's guns that had been knocked to the side. He takes it, fires several times into Khan, and leaves him bleeding on the ground, and he's about to put, like, the end bullet in him, and the Shadow's like, do it! Kill him! End him! This is the only way this ends is if you kill Khan. And Randy's like, no. And Khan, of course, escapes. Like, he hobbles off and hides and licks his wounds. But the power he had is no longer with him, and it's given back to the Shadow, which he can give back to the monks. And the Shadow's like, you know, you disappoint me, you know, maybe you were never meant to be my successor, even though he's like, yeah, he's just kind of projecting, like, oh yeah, you totally failed the test, you could never be the Shadow. And Randy's like, yeah, because I'm already the ninja, I never wanted to be the Shadow. So yeah, they part ways, but inwardly the Shadow is like, the kid's got a good future to him, even if it's not me, he's got a pretty good future ahead of him. And Randy, like, deep down is appreciative of, like, the Shadow's, like, teachings he gave him. So there you go, guys. The end of the Shadow Randy Cunningham trilogy. You guys tell me in the comments below what you guys think of it. Comment below, let me know. Once again, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.